Okay, if the coach is here and let us know, we can get started.
Okay, so it's 12 now officially. You can go ahead and get started. We have 15 minutes per presentation, and I'll start the timer now.
Okay. خانم جهانگیری.
Yes.
Okay. چون یکی از کوچ ها اینجا هستن و الان ساعت شروع کار هست، با وجود که ما نفر دوم هستیم، ایشون اجازه دادن که ما شروع بکنیم. So you can get started.
Okay. So, hello everyone. I want to talk about development and validation of an EFL teacher's materials adaptation awareness questionnaire. So, let's go to the next slide, please. At first, I should explain about the introduction that in general, as we know, the language has the important role in learning and teaching, and also, as we know, the levels of students, learners, and also the material that teachers use are really necessary, and they refer to the development of material. And Saraseni explained about this point that not all materials are fully developed. Another point about introduction, I should say that McDonough, Shaw, and Masuhara explain about adoption and adaptation in this way that the adoption is that the whole part of the textbook. However, adaptation refers to the parts that make up the textbook. The last part about Tomlinson and McGrace that explain about the importance of adaptation, I should say that Tomlinson explained that the majority of materials are designed to explain about the needs of students. However, we cannot say that the material can alone explain about the needs of students, since we should pay attention to the individual differences of learners and also other points like attitudes of them and their experiences for sure. So based on that, McGrace explained about these points that the materials adaptation is really necessary to understand about the needs of learners. So the next slide explain about the literature. I should explain about these points that we should first of all pay attention to material, that in this study we should pay attention to the material of learning. And as researcher explained about this point, that materials involve all of the points that has some effect on, support the learning of learners, like series, textbooks, videos, and for example, stories, and also some projects and tasks that mentioned in them. And another part about material, we should pay attention to material adaptation, that it involves three main ways: adding, deleting, and modifying. So if I want to explain about adding, I should explain about this point that in adding, as Shahreza explained about this point, that adding is in a way that, for example, teachers mention the picture in a material that students better understand. About deleting, again, Tomlinson and Mosora explain about these points, that adding and deleting are the two sides of one coin. And another part refer to modifying, that again Shahreza explained modifying in this way, that it has 2 points: rewriting and restructuring. That rewriting refer to this point, refer to content, and restructuring refer to the manage of the classroom. So the next point in the literature refer to need for material adaptation. As Nihal explained in this way, that it is really interesting that we should pay attention. However, we have the good material. We should pay attention that is it suitable for learners or no. So the next part in literature that I should explain about refer to material adaptation criteria, that it involves 6 points. The first point refer to adaptation should make teaching easier. As we know, teachers, because teach in different contexts, so adaptation can help them that make easy the material and explain the material easier. And another point, adaptation should facilitate learning. As we know, and also researcher explain about these points, that materials are in a way that somehow our students come and tell us that this material is not suitable for us, or it is really hard to understand. So it said that adaptation helps teachers to facilitating the learning of learners. The next one referred to adaptation should focus on the learners. It refers to this point that researchers explain about it, that authentic materials don't focus on the learners. However, whenever we use adaptation, we should pay attention to this point because we want to understand about the needs of students and learners. Another point referred to adaptation must ensure relevance, that as we teach, and also Krashen explained about this point, that whenever we teach something, we should pay attention that it should be relevant and it should be helpful for students. Another point referred to adaptation should foster flexibility. As we know, again, and researcher explained about this point, that authentic materials are not don't have a flexibility. By adaptation, because teachers teach in different contexts, so they should use materials that have flexibility, and by adaptation we can do this. And also the last point refer to motivational adaptation, that it explained that, researcher explained that motivation is really necessary, and by material we can do this. We can improve the motivation of students, and also if one of these points, from the number 1 to number 5, if one of these points miss, we cannot have a motivation, or students cannot have motivation from their material that they use. The next part refers to methodology. Yeah, okay. As you see, we use Habibi formula for participants. First of all, I should say that methodology involves participants, instruments, and data analysis. In participants, we use a Habibi formula, and based on this formula, we understood that we need 532 Iranian EFL teachers. That in this point, I should say that 255 were men and 277 were women, and also their age was between 18 to 55 years old. About the instruments, I should say that in this study, a material adaptation questionnaire was designed, and also the rating scales used were also clearly explained for the participants that want to fill the questionnaire. And the questionnaire consisted of items on a 5-point Likert scale, ranging from strongly agree, that the number was 1, and strongly disagree, that rating was 5. About the last point, data analysis, I should say that we use, first of all, we paid attention to the reliability. The next, we should pay attention to KMO and Bartlett test. As we know, in exploratory factor analysis, these 2 points are really necessary, since we can understand about the the sample size, the number of participants, and also the significance of our study. Another point referred to construct validity, since we paid attention to the theoretical point that's referred to material adaptation, and we designed this questionnaire. So the next part. The next part, please. Yes. The next part refers to results and discussion. first of all, I should explain that we mentioned the reliability of the questionnaire, that the reliability was 0.67, that as you know, the reliability, if the reliability of the questionnaire is more than 0.50, it is acceptable and good, so it is acceptable. The next point is about the KMO, that it shows the adequacy of the participants, and it should be, some researchers explain that it should be between 0 and 1, and some researchers said that KMO should be more than 0.6. So as you see, the KMO of this question as you see, the KMO was 0.65, so it is more than 0.6, and it was acceptable. Another point I should explain is about the Bartlett test, that it was 0.00, that as you know, we should pay attention to this part because it shows the significant, and the significance should be less than 0.05, and it is less than 0.05. So again, it is significant. So the next step, we should pay attention to the total variance. And the next slide, please. Would you please go to next slide? Yeah. Yes. Okay. In this table, as you see, we have in our questionnaire, we had 34 items. Okay. But in this table, as you see, it shows 3 parts. So the first part, you should see that 12 items are more than, eigenvalues were more than 1, and also we should pay attention to these 12 factors. I mean, the 34 items should change to just 12 factors. So the next point about this table is that we can understand about the total variance, that is 56.815. So the next part that we should do, the next point that we should pay attention is about the main table, the exploratory factor analysis, that it refers to pattern metrics. If you go to next slide, we can see. Okay. In this table, we should pay attention that in the top of the table, we have 12 components, and in the left part, we can see the items, questions that we have in the in our questionnaire. So first of all, we should pay attention that some of the items are in, for example, 2 or 3 factors. So we should compare them and pay attention that which of them are higher, and then select the factor of them, the component of them, category of them. For example, about number 1, about the factor 1 that you see in the top of the table, we have question 22, question 20, and also we have the question 21. If you pay attention, in question 22, we have 2 categories. It is in the category 1 and in the category 4, okay? So we should pay attention that in category 4, it is more. So we should mention this question. We should mention this item in fourth category. And then we should mention just question 20 in category number 1. Why? Because again, question 21, it has 2 categories. Again, it has in the factor 1 and also factor 11. But if you compare them, in factor 11, the factor loading is more, okay? So because of that, we should just mention question 20 in a category 1. And for all of these 12 categories, we did it. I mean, we mentioned all of these factor loading, and we set the name for all of these category based on the literature that we had, and then we have the last point that was about the main questionnaires that we have about the material adaptation. So first of all, I should say that we have 12 components, but some of the points for sure omit. Why? Because the low factor loading. For example, if you pay attention to the component 5, okay, you can see that question 6, question 28, question 2 are low, so we cannot put them in our questionnaire, okay? So we can omit these points. After these points, we mentioned the name for all of these components. For example, about factor 1, we mentioned material. About factor 2, we mentioned essential points. About factor 3, we mentioned input. About factor 4, we mentioned experience. About factor 5, we mentioned learners. About factor 6, we mentioned impossible point. About factor 7, we mentioned teachers. About factor 8, we mentioned accessibility. About factor 9, we mentioned benefits. About factor 10, we mentioned impressionistic. About factor 11, we mentioned tasks. And about factor 12, we mentioned plan. I should mention in this part that because we omit some points, as I explained, so these 34 items changed to 24 items. The next part refer to conclusion that I should explain about this. Yes.
Excuse me, خانم
Yes.
Jahangiri, because you are running out of time. Do your best to bring an end to your presentation in just 1 or 2 minutes, okay?
Okay. At first, about conclusion, at first we had 34 items in the questionnaire about EFL teachers material adaptation awareness question. Based on the exploratory factor analysis, 30 items were reduced into 12 factors, and as I explained, it changed to 24 items. The validity of the questionnaire was confirmed based on the KMO, and that was 0.65, and this means that the sample was adequate for factor analysis. Another point, in addition, Bartlett test was lower than 0.05, so it was significant. And finish.
Well, thank you, Ms. Jahangiri, and thank you everybody for being patient to listen to my students. If there is any question coming from the audience, welcome any question.